Hey there, fans of brotherly love wrestling. It is I, Vic Delicious,
Philly's own, the Mecca here.
It is the real McCoy, J.D.X. Justin D. Xavier. And
it's your man, CD, the fallen angel, Christopher Daniels.
Hello, boys and girls. This is your old friend, RJ City.
Hey there, brotherly love wrestling. Bill Carr here.
Hey everyone, this is two-time guest Wheeler Yuta.
Two bozos from Philadelphia flapping their gums about pro wrestling this, pro wrestling that.
Which is not that unique in the grand scheme of things yet.
You are in for a treat because you're tuned in to Brotherly Love Wrestling.
Philadelphia, are you ready?
No! They said, are you ready?
This is Brotherly Love Wrestling Podcast, your first stop for everything professional wrestling. So sit back and enjoy wrestling talk at its finest with your hosts, Larry Hall and Joe Corrado.
how dare you make us the bad guys? I see everything that Vic and Hale, that referee, and everybody at ACW, all the fans have to say about Sent to Slaughter, Joel Gertner, Josh Shernoff. We are not the ones who booked a cage match. The Now booked a cage match. We did not choose to put two animals in a cage and then choose to put you in there with them. You did that. All we did was what we had to do. We did what we had to do to get what we have to have, and that's the ACW World Tag Team Championships. And why do we need that? Because this is a business. This is the wrestling business. I am a businessman. That's what I do. And I have invested in Sent to Slaughter. I have invested in their careers. If you are in this business for anything other than money and gold, you're an idiot. And I'm sorry if that offends you and your passion. Passion doesn't pay the bills, pal. You chose to put Sent to Slaughter in a cage with yourselves. No disqualification. Anything goes. What did you want us to do? What did you want me to do? I send Danny Moth and Sean Donovan to slaughter others. I do not send them to be slaughtered. So I made the deal that I had to make with Joe Gertner. I paid Joe Gertner what he's worth, what he needed to do what was right for us. But we're the bad guys. I see parents gloating online with pictures of their children giving us the finger. Those are your people, Vic. Those are your people, Hale. Proud to be raising degenerates. But we're the bad guys. You put us in this position, and we did what we had to do. We will always do what we have to do to get as high as we can in a company, to make as much money as we can, to create as much buzz as we can, because that is what sells tickets. That's what puts money in our pockets. Now, I should specify, that is why I do it. Danny Moff, Sean Donovan, they're animals. They're monsters. They do it because they love to hurt people. I'm the driver. They're the race car. The race car does not give a shit about the other cars on the track. The driver has to navigate. The driver is the one who makes sure that race car has all those sponsorships on it. That race car, it just knows how to go. That's Danny Moff. That's Sean Donovan. And that's why they are with me. They're with me because they trust me to make the best business decisions for them. But somehow we're the bad guys in all of this because we did what you forced us to do. Vic, you talked about how your children cried watching what Danny Moff and Sean Donovan did to you. Like that's our fault? You brought your kids to watch you step into a cage with Sean Donovan and Danny Moff? What the hell did you think was gonna happen? That breaks my heart that your kids had to watch that. I didn't want them to see that. Joel Gertner didn't want them to see that. Danny Moff and Sean Donovan, they don't care. We're the bad guys. Well, you know what else we are? The ACW World Tag Team Champions. And at Fallout, this isn't going to be retribution for the Now. This isn't going to be some other team's great breakout moment at the expense of Sent to Slaughter. This is going to be the start of the Sent to Slaughter era. Not just in ACW, but in all of professional wrestling. You want us to be the bad guys? You got it. So says Shernoff.
Welcome everybody to Brotherly Love Wrestling, and on the show this week we have the ACW, one of the ACW commentators, and more importantly, the the ACW commentator,
the one that matters,
and more importantly, the manager of the ACW Tag Team Champion sent to slaughter. He is Mr. Josh Shernoff. Josh, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. I also want to point out the longest reigning ACW Tag Team Champions in history.
True. It's very true. Yeah. I mean, can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
I mean, it's undisputable.
Yeah. So as we started off our show right after our intro, we aired the kind of just what you felt after you guys dismantled the Now and won those titles, and kind of giving it back to everyone who, for lack of a better term, was bitching about you guys walking out and the way you guys walked out. I mean, us here, I mean, look, but my shirt, I have a Now shirt on. We're Now fans. And yeah.
I honestly thought you were just a dyslexic NWO fan. But that's fine.
But I mean, we're Now fans. It hurt to see them lose the titles that way and to be beaten that way. But what do you expect when you put Sent to Slaughter in a cage like that? So, like, what is your response to these people that they just, I mean, they can't, why Sent to Slaughter would do it this way?
Yeah, I mean, you saw a little bit in, the video that you aired there, but, you and I had spoken about this once before. The fact that everybody wants to blame us kind of boggles my mind. I don't understand it, because Sent to Slaughter didn't book a cage match against the Now. The Now did. They asked for that. They wanted a cage match. So they made a choice to put Sent to Slaughter inside a steel cage, lock that door. I mean, right off the bat, what were they thinking, right? But my job, I consider myself, people say manager, I consider myself more of a strategist for Sent to Slaughter, right? This is where I can take 26 years of my education in this business, and I can help combine that with their combined over 50 years of experience in this business, and just, three heads together trying to figure out what can we do here, because we're being put into this match. And I say we, even though I physically wasn't in the ring, my career is now intertwined with Sent to Slaughter. So this is my livelihood. This is my career in there as well. So we're being put in this match. What is our goal, right? Okay, our goal is, of course, to become the first ever ACW World Tag Team Champions. But the first goal in a cage match and something like that is to survive, to be able to walk out and continue to fight, because that's one of the most violent matches in professional wrestling. And for us to go in there with the mindset of this is going to be a walk in the park is disrespectful to the Now. And the way I view it is, while you say it was very difficult for you to watch what happened to the Now, and I get that, I understand that. I mean, it was very difficult for me to watch, even though I enjoyed how things went down. It was tough to see that, Vic had mentioned before about how his kid was crying. And, one of the things that I had said in one of my park car promos was, why would you bring your kid there? Why would you do that? What did you think was going to happen? Best case scenario, what did they think was going to happen? So to me, that's kind of a disrespect from the Now right off the bat. The fact that he would bring his child there and not think that was going to scar them in some way. To me, that says they thought this was going to be a walk in the park. But regardless, we didn't think that. So we put our heads together and we said, what can we do to guarantee that they walk out champions? And that's where we came up with the plan that we came up with. And Joe Gertner, listen, Joel, in my opinion, was a little bit offended at being considered this nostalgia act, right? Just being brought out to put over the Now, and then, yeah, we'll shove you over on commentary. Yeah, we'll just kind of have you off to the side. You'll be our little cheerleader. They did not show Joel the respect for his mind, for his education in this business. I mean, for the love of God, this is the guy that stood next to and behind the Dudley boys in ECW. He was a lot of times how instrumental his own, safety on the for illegal total elimination there. Joe Gertner, right? So Joel's being seen as this guy that like, oh, you know what he brings to the table? A cute little limerick as we're walking to the ring. That's what Joel do. Well, we looked at that, and I talked to Joel, who I've known since I was 15 years old. I've known Joel Gertner. I met him 27 years ago in that very building at the MJN Center when it was the Mid-Hudson Civic Center. And, I got to talking with Joel, and one thing led to another, and we kind of came up with this idea of, look, man, if we need you, what's it going to take? And Joel, like, a famous man once said, everybody's got a price. And that's pretty much what happened there. So we looked at this as, number one, respect to the Now and respect for them as competitors, what they were going to do. And we looked at that, I'll give you an example. People are angry about the handcuffs, right? That we would slide handcuffs in, mind you, no disqualification. Okay.
It's all legal.
We'd slide handcuffs in there. Let me ask you a question. If you know that you have two people on the level of the Now, on the level of Vic and Hale, and your goal is to exit the cage, and you know that they are the only thing standing between you and exiting the cage, wouldn't it make sense to say, what if we keep them on one side of the ring, the opposite side from the door? I mean, to me, like this is why I don't understand why we're the bad guys. We went in, we did everything by the book. It's a no disqualification match. So we did everything by the book. We came up with a plan that showed a level of respect to the threat that the Now were to send to slaughter. We put handcuffs on them. Now, look, Danny Moff and Sean Donovan, you put handcuffs in their hands. You put steel chairs in their hands. And, listen, they're not as cerebral, let's say, as maybe I am with this. Maybe I'm kind of sitting back there and putting the pieces together, and they get in there and they're animals. But they have to be when they're in there. They have to turn that on. And so one thing led to another, and they're the new ACW World Tag Team Champions.
Yeah, I mean, look, everything you said, you're right. It's hard to debate that because of, like you said, no DQ, everything. I mean, look, honestly, if I were going against, first of all, if I was going, I wouldn't be going against Sent to Slaughter. I would not be going on the other side of that ring.
You wouldn't be going against the Nail either.
No, I wouldn't. But I wouldn't get in the ring with any of the four guys. But I mean, there's this mindset of when you're going in a cage match, regardless who is on the other side of that ring, it's going to be, you're going to come out different. You know what I mean? You're going to come out changed a little bit because those matches, like you said, might be the most brutal matches in pro wrestling. So, I mean, I understand it as much as I did not like the outcome. I understood it. And what I did recognize, even coming through my television, was the amount of hate and heat that you guys got walking out. You could feel it through the television. Like you could feel watching it on Triller, you could feel that building hating everything about you guys.
I have never in my career, and I have had times, whether it was as a manager, a commentator, or when I had an in-ring career, I had times where I was disliked. I have never felt, it felt like the building was shaking, the heat. And we have a shirt, by the way, available right now at wrestlingtees.com/so says Shernoff. I'm wearing it right now. I don't know if you can see
nice.
This.
Embrace the heat.
Embrace the heat. That is our mantra. That is what we are living by, because we knew we're going. This is the MJN Center, this Poughkeepsie, New York. This is the Now's home, right? So we knew going into this, and I understand Donovan and Moff might not seem like cuddly teddy bears, but the reality is, whether people respect don't good. We knew going into this, they were not going to be, none of us were going to be the fan favorites going into this match, right? We're going into a steel cage against the hometown heroes who everybody wanted to celebrate with them. They had their signs and they wanted to celebrate that they were the first ever ACW World Tag Team Champions. We knew walking in there that people were not going to like us. And it was right about at that level of heat, that level of reaction of, I guess you could say negative reaction. And to me, it was a positive, right? So that reaction that we received on the way to the ring, I looked at that and I remember just thinking to myself, man, if this goes the way we're hoping, they're going to be really pissed off. This crowd is not, they're not going to enjoy themselves. And, you know, the guys were getting a little bit heated with the audience right away. I'm sure you can see on there at times. I remember a specific time with Donovan just saying to him, save it for in the ring. Because the last thing, again, this is kind of as a strategist here, as their manager, as you know, Danny Moff loves to call me the guiding light. And I take that seriously. I help to guide them in the direction, because when they go through that curtain, even before they go through that curtain, the second they put their gear on, and this is completely legitimate thing. I have seen these guys not want to get dressed until the very last minute because they're worried about who they're going to have to interact with, because once they are in their gear, once they are ready to go, they just, switch flips and they just become these animals. They have to, otherwise you can't survive the matches in. What happened was, you know, I'm telling them, guys, save it for in the ring, because there were a couple of people in the crowd. I was worried for their safety, not sent to slaughter, worried for the safety of the people in the crowd. But they got into the ring there. When things went down the way that they did, I have never, like I said, I've never, ever in my career been on the receiving end, or even been in a room where I felt that visceral hate. And, you know, look, you always have your people who are just like, maybe they don't have a dog in the fight and they're just like, oh, I see people booing them, so I'm going to boo them too, because I guess they're the bad guys, right? And there were some of those there. You can probably spot them out if you watch it back, and you see some, they have a little smile while they're doing it. I'd say like 95% of the people there did not have a smile. They were not enjoying what was happening. And I love it. I absolutely love that. And that's why we have the shirt now, Embrace the Heat, because we looked at that and what we said was, there's so many people, they would get so scared and run away from a situation like that and go, oh man, you know, I don't want these guys, I want them to like me, you know, because I want to take photos with them. And listen, here's the thing, man, I'm still going to be at a table selling 8x10, selling these t-shirts, because people are still going to want that. These are the ACW World Tag Team Champions. They're still going to want an autographed picture. They're still going to want to pay, and they're going to pay handsomely to take a photo with myself or Sent to Slaughter. They're going to want to do that, even if they hate us, because they want to be a part of history. So to me, I don't have that same worry of like, oh no, maybe they won't buy my merch. I don't care. We got paid. We got paid to be there, you know, so don't buy our merch. I don't care. But you're going to anyway, because the shirt is amazing, way better than the one you're wearing. But this is, you know, not you, that HBK shirt. That's good. That I love.
I can't argue with that. I won't argue with that. HBK is my all-time favorite, so I agree. But
I like displease the people. That's what I'm here for.
So we have now.
Hold on, wait. I had a question before.
Go ahead.
Just to drive this point home. So the heat is what you would say the main driving factor, like no cheers or whatever. Is that what keeps the motivation going? Is to keep the people really just pissed? Is that starting to breathe the joy?
I think that it's almost a side effect. It's something separate, because what drives us is, and I'll be honest about myself, and I think that there's a level of this with a huge level of this with Moff and Donovan as well. We all have a chip on our shoulder from various aspects of our experiences in this business, of the disrespect that we've all experienced on different levels. For me personally, I think I'm the very best doing this today as a manager, as a color commentator on the microphone. I don't think anybody can touch me. And maybe that's cocky, maybe it's confidence, maybe it's a little bit of both, but it's how I feel. And yet I reach out to different promoters and it's crickets, because in my opinion, these guys are afraid of me. I'll give you a perfect example. Jared St. Laurent, MLW. When I was working with Jared, when I was working with a streaming network, he was, oh man, you could get him all times a day. Whenever you wanted to, you could get him on the phone, because he knew that he was going to be able to negotiate a deal that was going to make MLW money. Now, if he was smart, he would know that bringing myself and Sense of Slaughter into MLW would make money. Except look who their tag team champions are, and look who manages them. Mr. St. Laurent is the manager. Mr. St. Laurent, when I was interviewing with MLW to be a color commentator, and I've never said this publicly before, but when I was interviewing with them to be a color commentator, all of a sudden my conversations with Court Bauer stopped. Jared St. Laurent popped in. You know what? I think we're going to go with somebody in-house. Who do you think that color commentator ended up being? It was Jared St. Laurent. So my point is, there are people in this business who look and I'm using him specifically, but you can talk about the NWA, you can talk about TNA. There are plenty of places who have done the same thing. They look at Sense of Slaughter, they look at myself, and they see people who can come in, either take their job, take their spot, take their buddy's spot, or they look at it and say, this isn't exactly who I want to be tag champion, who I want to be world champion. So I'm not going to bring them in, because if I bring them in, I really have no choice. That's what we're actually, I don't know when this is airing, but this coming Tuesday, Fight Factory Wrestling, War on the Shore, Danny Moff is going one-on-one with Tom Latimer for the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship. Now, our entire goal there, and it pissed Tom Latimer off because we don't really care about him one way or the other. Our entire goal is for Danny Moff to become NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. Do you know why? Because then Billy Corgan can't ignore us. Pat Kinney can't ignore us when we're trying to get booked at the NWA, because now he's the champion. Now, when I make a phone call to somebody, they don't ghost me, because I'm now representing the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. So the heat that comes along, to answer your question, that's something that we literally embrace. We embrace that heat. But what drives us is the knowledge of how good we are and how unappreciated we are in the business, all in our own respects, but how unappreciated we are by people, or how feared we are. And that puts a chip on our shoulder and makes us go out there, and makes every single time we walk through the curtain, has us saying, we're going to get the biggest reaction. We are going to fight harder than anybody else. You see me running around doing laps around that ring. I'm not just standing there and watching. I am wherever I need to be, in their ear, helping out in any way I possibly can. That is legal, of course. I would never break the rules. But look, that to me is what drives me. That's what drives Moff and Donovan. Once they get out there, what drives Moff and Donovan is their love of hurting people. So, it shifts a little bit at that point. But yeah, that heat that we get, that response that we get, is validation. Because if you're putting us in this position as your quote unquote heels, as your bad guys, then yeah, we're going to get that heat. We're going to get that heat. And we are not going to be the ones where you go like, oh man, I really love them. No, you're going to be pissed off at us, because at the end of the day, you're going to know that we're right. Whatever we say, whatever we do, just like we talked about with the handcuffs in the cage match, you really can't argue that we did everything by the book, that we did things in a way that had to be done in a cage match out of respect to the now and what they could have done.
It's more of a rarity today to actually see people that want to be actually hated and actually do it, because I feel like you don't see it nearly enough anywhere, and that's anywhere, really.
No, people are afraid. They're afraid of the heat. They really are. And I get it. I mean, I absolutely get it, because there is that fine line, because if you're not confident enough in your ability, then you do have that fear of, oh my God, if these people don't like me, they're not going to follow me. They're not going to want to see me. And there is that fine line between, man, they are so damn good. I know the match is going to be entertaining, and I'm going to pay extra money because, man, today, this is going to be the day that someone is going to just shut Shernoff up. This is going to be the day that someone is going to stop Moff and Donovan. So I'm going to pay money for it. But hey, even if they win, while that's going to piss me off, at least I know that was a hell of a match that I just saw. There are other people who are kind of like, oh man, what if people just don't like me? And what if I just, get go away heat? And so instead there's that little part of them that's like, I kind of want to do that wink and the nod. Like me, guys, I'll be the bad guy and you guys can boo me, but you're going to really like me. It's like, no, I don't care. I don't care about that one bit. We're going out there. We want to win. We are the tag team champions right now because of that. Danny Moff is going into Fight Factory, the Fight Factory premier champion. He's held that for a year. That's not because we're like, oh man, we hope people like us, but because we're there to kick ass. And I say again, because when they go in there, that's me. Because if need be, if I had to throw myself to the lions, I will. That's what I will do for them.
Well, so you say that, and it kind of moves me to, you said obviously War at the Shore on, you said Tuesday coming up?
Tuesday, yeah, July 15th.
Okay,
Hotel's
so
Tiki Bar.
We
Pleasant, New Jersey. I
We're
didn't even get paid extra to say that.
Literally just came from there the other day. I got burnt to shit.
Oh, man.
We are, as of we're recording right now, Wednesday the 9th, we are a little less than 2 weeks, almost 1 week away from ACW and Fallout on July 18th. Now, obviously, for people who have been following that now are not competing but have some sort of announcement that they're going to do that night.
Hopefully it's their retirement.
Oh,
I knew it was something.
And I hope, and you know what? And I hope, I'm thinking retirement, and then they can be announced, maybe like a surprise announcement that they're also being inducted into the MJN Center Hall of Fame. That would be so great. I would just love to see that. And I think that at this point, based on everything that I saw, I think we can all agree it's time for their career to end. And I think it should end in the most beautiful way possible. And I'll be there with a tear in my eye. So I'm excited for their announcement.
Yeah. I'm not going to co-sign that first part. I think you're right for the Hall of Fame thing, but I don't want the career to end. But
you can't go in the Hall of Fame without your career ending.
Yeah.
I'm
seeing
Tommy Dreamer's
he's still wrestling, and he's
still dragging him stuff out there.
Yeah, I mean,
and he's the first inductee. So, but anyway, but you guys have business to take care of in the ring on July 18th, and you have no slouch in front of you. You have the Monster Kerr, you have the ageless Crowbar, and a new hybrid version, if you will, version of Crowbar. And then obviously on the outside, you have Vanessa too, who, as we saw in the last show, is not afraid to do anything to try and help Crowbar.
Is she alive still? Because the last I saw, she was being carried out.
Yeah,
I have no idea. I assume she'll
find
be
that
there.
out. We might get a retirement. We might get
maybe. You know what? Maybe I can
death.
call Joel. I'll call Joel Gertner, see if he's got an extra neck brace.
There you go.
That he can bring for her.
You might need it. But you guys, this team that you're going against, like I said, they're no joke. These are two bad dudes. Kerr is probably one of the strongest humans I've ever seen in my life. For him, for what he did, just that one section of that match, catching Vargas and just walking around the ring like he was holding a 100-pound person and putting him through that it was ridiculous. One of the craziest feats of strength I've seen in wrestling. So how do you guys, you're
talking about knowledge, you're talking about Crowbar. If you guys are 75 years combined, I think Crowbar might be almost at 75 just alone. So the knowledge is equal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Size equal, knowledge equal.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough task for Sent to Slaughter as much as they are animals and shouldn't be overlooked by any means. This is going to be one hell of a match and a tough match, to say the least.
Yeah, look, we aren't going into this. We're not looking past them. We never look past anybody, right? We just like we did with the Now, we study them. This one's a little bit easier because Sense of Slaughter has a history with these guys. Danny Moff and Crowbar have fought each other all over the world. They've fought, 100 times against each other, if not more. And it hasn't always come out in Moff's favor, right? So you can't take anything away from Crowbar. You mentioned before this hybrid. You have the intelligence that we saw in the Timeless Crowbar. And now you combine that with whatever had kind of, I guess, healed mentally for him once upon a time, broke again. And he's now this nutcase Crowbar that we last saw in WCW, facing guys like Terry Funk for the hardcore title. Look, you combine that willingness to put his body through anything and the intelligence that he has from his decades in this business. Yeah, I mean, Crowbar is he's a formidable opponent for sure. Now you team him up with Kerr, who, as you mentioned, I mean, the guy is so strong, just so damn strong. So right off the bat, now you're thinking to yourself, where maybe it's against the Now, you're thinking, okay, we need to look out for double teams, which, hey, they even got, right, the back body drop into the cage on Danny Moff. 2 of them back body drop him. One wasn't going to do it. One Kerr is going to do it. One Kerr might be able to throw Danny Moff and Sean Donovan at the same time. So the last thing I'm going to do is say, oh man, this is going to be a walk in the park. We're coming in there to Poughkeepsie and we're going to destroy it. Like, that is not how we approach things. We look at it and we think to ourselves, okay, what is the risk? And then what can we do to mitigate that risk? And right off the bat, I'm not concerned about Vanessa at all. She gets involved. Moff will eat her. This isn't, this is not, there's no equal between me and Vanessa. There's no equal between anybody and Vanessa. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful. I mean that to say what it is, right? This is somebody's there, and I'm sure she whispers sweet nothings into the ears of Crowbar and Kerr, but that's not what they need. What they need is the advice that I'm giving to Sense of Slaughter. Because in that moment, even the smartest, even the most seasoned vet is still going to need that when I say advice, going to need that kind of that focus. Again, the guiding light. Because sometimes when you're in there and you're getting punched in the face and kicked in the mouth, you need somebody to go, hey, snap out of it. Here's our game plan. This is what we're going to do. Greatest boxers in the world. They still have cornermen, right? So that's one thing I'm not worried about. Crowbar and Kerr, what we do, and I'm not going to give away everything here, but what we do going into this is you have to focus on, when it comes to Kerr, you have to focus on fighting his strength with speed. When it comes to Crowbar, you need to fight his craziness with, honestly, your own craziness. You need to be able to get to that other level within yourself that Donovan has, Moff has. We just saw Moff and PCO. Moff has that. And now on top of everything else, he's got the chip on his shoulder from what happened there, because Jimmy Jacobs didn't know how to be that guiding light for Danny Moff. That's a whole other conversation that Jimmy Jacobs and I have some heat over that. But look, Crowbar and Kerr, you can't take anything away from them. I respect both of them a ton. I have a ton of respect for them. I am so unbelievably confident going into this that Danny Moff and Sean Donovan will be victorious. That I'm not panicked. I'm not sweating it, but I am still very much focusing on a game plan.
So, I mean, and that's the other thing I do want to talk about because of that. That match obviously is something on your mind. Like you said, you're not really worried about it, but kind of switching to a different mindset for you. Because obviously, like we said, you're the manager, but you're also a commentator. And now this is your third event with ACW, as it is their third event. What is it like being now, like you said, you've been in the business for a while. seeing everything you've seen over the years in the business, and now seeing what ACW has now put together for 2, soon to be 3 events in a historic wrestling venue like the MJN Center, what is it like to sit behind that table and be able to call some of this action and see how just an upstart company who's only 3 shows old, their first show is in January, it's only July and they're on their 3rd show, and the amount of people that they are putting in an MJN center like that is not just 150 people in a bingo hall. It is legit 1,600 stacked people, no more room. And these cards that they're able to put together as well with the names, not just some indie that's bringing back old nostalgia.
It doesn't feel like an indie because
No.
it feels bigger than that.
Yeah, and they're not bringing back guys just to have a glorified meet and greet. The people that they're bringing in are still wrestling and are still at the top of their game and delivering. So what is it like to be that voice, to be able to sit and watch this grow and be a part of it in that way, other than obviously being the manager?
Some of the best times I've had in my career so far for those 2 shows. I sat at the first show, had the same feeling at the second show, but specifically that first show, I sat there with Dave Sturcio, who's my broadcast colleague, also, in my opinion, the best broadcaster in wrestling today. Morrow, love him, doesn't hold a candle to Sturcio's passion and his knowledge and his understanding of it. And Dave would probably say, oh, no, Morrow's better than me. He's not. I think as far as a team, and that's another one, I won't get hot again, start burying a bunch of different companies, but Dave Sturcio and myself, I don't think there's a better broadcast team out there today. You cannot teach what we have. You can't teach that chemistry and the decades of experience that we each bring into it, both of us being in the ring for a number of years. You just can't teach it. So ACW, seeing that in what we had been doing with WrestlePro and what we had been doing with Fight Factory Wrestling, which is Dave's promotion, ACW saw that, and that meant the world to us, that they got it. They understood what we brought to the table. And it means even more to us when you then show up, like I was saying, the first show, and you look at this and you look at the venue and you look at the setup and you look at the talent that is on this card. And then you stop and you go, these guys, they didn't just say, hey, they're really good. They said they match the rest of this. And that meant more to us for all the chips on my shoulder that I have from people in this industry. I do not have it with the ACW brass for that, because I am so appreciative of this opportunity to do this and to be able to be there alongside Dave and be able to be, as Jim Ross once said, we provide the lyrics to the song, to the music that the guys are doing in the ring. And, I could not get over that was their first show. And the second show I couldn't get over. I mean, if you really nitpick, you can get in there from the technical side of it, and we can say like, oh, okay, we'll work on this. And guess what? That still happens in WWE, the little technical things every single week. But I mean, if I didn't know, if I had just been like, hey, ACW wants to hire you, and I said, oh man, I'd never heard of them, and someone would go, oh man, they've been running for years, show up, you're gonna love it. And I show up, I would be like, oh man, what are they, like 5-10 years in at this point? So it blew me away. The attention to detail, the production value, the video packages that were put together, they were incredible. And it's just so it's so refreshing. You had mentioned a minute ago that it doesn't feel like an indie. And it's so, that kind of harkens back to the thought process of something like a House of Hardcore, where it was its own. You can go, oh, there are indie promotions, and then there's House of Hardcore, and it's like, yeah, we get that it's technically still an indie promotion, but it's not in the same way. It's not in the way it's presented, but it's not in the way that I've seen these talents come through. Matt Riddle, Nick Nemeth, Matt Cardona, talking about some of the names that are there. these guys are not showing up like, oh man, here's another booking. I mean, that Riddle and Nemeth match, that was the level of match they would have put on against each other at WrestleMania. I truly believe that. And the blood coming down from Nemeth's nose at the end of the match kind of proved that as well, right? So to me, I look at ACW as the future of what I hope independent wrestling is. I hope that over time we weed out a lot of the carnies and the people who are, oh yeah, brother, I'll put the title on you next time if you can not get a payday today, like that type of thing. I hope that gets weeded out. And I hope that more people start to look at ACW, places like Fight Factory, the production value that goes into it. And they see that there is a way to carve out their own future and their own place in this industry, without going like, oh my God, we have to be the next AEW or WWE. It's not going to happen. They don't have that kind of money. And at the end of the day, when it comes to production and getting talent, it's money. That's it, right? So I think what they've been able to do is nothing short of unbelievable. And to be able to call those matches and see the mix between the veterans and the young guys coming up and girls, and the women's division they've put together super fast. Incredible, to be able to have that much talent in there. Yeah, I just think while you see a lot of people who were in WWE or AEW or ECW or TNA, and there were some of them still at these places, and you see them now in ACW, I think within a year's time, you're going to start seeing those people where you go, oh man, I remember I first saw them at ACW. So I think there's eventually going to be that kind of rotation of now we're starting to see these names that maybe you didn't know from anywhere but ACW, like a Leo Sparrow or somebody. I think you're going to start to say like, not that he's only at ACW, but maybe the Poughkeepsie crowd's only familiar with him from ACW. I think before long, you're going to start saying like, okay, I remember him from when I saw him in Poughkeepsie. So I think ACW, man, I am so impressed and so grateful for the opportunity, because everything I was saying before, and I know I'm pontificating, but everything that I had said before about the chip on my shoulder, on Moff's shoulder, on Donovan's shoulder, I've always been the thing that pisses me off the most is when you reach out to promoters and they just ghost you, especially when you have the experience in ring, behind the scenes, the stuff that I've done. I hosted the international pre-show live for 2 hours before the first ever AEW Dynamite. This isn't my first day in the business, and I look at it and I go like, man, show a little respect to guys like myself and Moff and Donovan in our own fields, and Sturcio and people like that. Show some respect and give that opportunity. And if you really don't want to, because you're afraid or because you just don't like us, I mean, have the decency to just say, we are not interested in you. We don't like what you have to offer. And guess what? I won't bother you anymore. But at the same time, I am confident, and this is why I love ACW. They gave us, everyone on that roster has been given this opportunity to be a part of something. And that's all anybody really wants, is that opportunity. Because if I'm given an opportunity, I get a call tomorrow by WWE and they say, hey, we want you in Sent to Slaughter, show up. That's all I need, is that opportunity. Now, if I go and shit the bed, okay, that's on me and done. I don't deserve to be there. But I look at it in the mindset of looking at Sent to Slaughter, looking at myself, and I know I'm kind of getting all over the place, but if I look at it and I look at this business and I go, the only reason someone can't say like, oh, you guys aren't good enough for WWE. You're not good enough for TNA. You're not good enough for AEW. The only reason that Sent to Slaughter is not currently the WWE tag team champions is because they haven't been given an opportunity. That's it. I said the same thing with Jacob Fatu for years. I said, Jacob Fatu, the only reason he's not a massive star in WWE is because WWE wouldn't give him an opportunity. And things changed. WWE gave him the opportunity, and look what happened. Oh, by the way, do you know who beat Jacob Fatu on his way out of the independent scene? Danny Moff. Danny Moff did. Because Jacob Fatu got in the ring at one time with me, did not like that I was just trying to help my friend Matt Cardona, and he kicked me in the face. And so I sent Danny Moff after him. Danny Moff killed him. Sent him back into WWE, where now he's taken care of. Now he's safe from Danny Moff. But that's my point, is like ACW wasn't afraid to say, look at the Now. I have to give them so much credit, because they could have just gone, hey, this is going to be our sandbox, and we're going to bring in some like fun teams, and we'll do some flippity floppity good times and whatever. They looked at it and they said, no, we want the best. We are not afraid. Unlike these other places that are afraid, got to give credit where credit is due to the Now. They were not afraid to get their asses kicked. And they have allowed myself and Sent to Slaughter to be there. Whether they like us or not, they respect what we bring to the table. And in turn, I respect them. I respect everybody at ACW.
I think they like you guys more than the flippity floppity shit, if I know them at all.
Yeah, look, and some people love that. And
but that's who people cater to. This is a storytelling company.
Yeah.
This is a company.
It is. And I think that's what's standing out to people.
They want to rejuvenate an old timey feeling that people get when they watch wrestling. The 100%. True hatred that you get, that kid feeling.
And that's what it's about. That's it. It's about that feeling. It's about that emotion. I can get more emotion out of somebody with a look than some people can with a triple moonsault plancha, whatever the hell, right? Because if you have people invested in your team and in your opponents and whatever the case might be, if people are invested in that, then they're invested. You don't have to do the flips. You don't have to do all of that. Danny Moff, I'm not going to ever tell him he can't do something, but I feel like a 450 is probably not, in his repertoire at this point. The knees, beat up over time. Donovan probably could, but I feel like, but the thing is, when you go and you see Danny Moff and Sean Donovan and you watch them punch someone in the face, that you're going to get so much more emotion just from them walking to the ring than you're going to get from these, what Meltzer will call a 18-star match. It's not. And then look, Dave Meltzer, it's one man's opinion. He's entitled to his opinion. His star rating is based purely on his opinion. A lot of other people choose to put weight behind it, but Dave Meltzer's entitled to that. Just like I'm entitled to have my opinion on what the greatest match of all time is or anything like that. Right. So it's obviously all of that is it's taste, like you said, and it's opinion. But yeah, I just think ACW, they have high flyers. They have a little bit of everything. They have that buffet for everybody, but nothing comes before the emotion and making you feel something.
Also, logic is played into it because you're not going to see the same thing every single fucking match.
Yep.
So,
well, almost logic. There is one issue that I have with them.
All right.
I don't, and I am not afraid to say it. The only title that I can see right now that makes any sense of who the challengers are, you have Kerr and Crowbar. They won their last match, and now they're that was the other tag match on the card, and now they're getting a shot at the titles. Okay, it's not that deep of a roster yet, so that's fine. What happened to Matt Riddle last time he was there? He lost. Why is he number one contender? Danny Moff won. Sean Donovan won. Put them in the match. They'll work twice. The world Enzo, title they won. Or whatever, Enzo, the real one, the artist formerly known as Enzo. That dude's defending his title against who? Against Zach Clayton?
Yes.
What happened to Zach Clayton at the last show?
He lost to Dreamer.
So why isn't Tommy Dreamer getting that shot? So I'm not understanding, and sometimes I look at that and I say, well, is the match going to be great? Absolutely. Will the match be, Richard Holiday versus Matt Riddle? It's going to be awesome. That is going to be awesome. And that's why it was booked, because they want to be able to give you the best action. But at the same time, I sit back there and I look at some of these other talents there and who I have conversations with, and I wonder to myself, why aren't they being given? They won a match. Why aren't they being given this opportunity? So that's something that I'm keeping, I'm keeping a close eye on it, because there's a lot of logic, but at the same time, fair is fair. You might want to have the greatest match ever, and you might get that with Richard Holiday and Matt Riddle. You're going to get a hell of a match with the Real One and Zach Clayton. But at what cost? At the cost of what's fair to the people in the roster who are winning? If Matt Riddle doesn't secure the bag this time, I mean, that dude should be he should be on the pre-show next time. That's just my opinion on it, but
all right, well,
as Dennis Miller would say, I could be wrong.
I did, before we wrap this up, I did want to say that watching that second show, because we weren't able to attend, and literally getting to see from start to finish at home and getting that feel, because obviously,
and you get to hear commentary.
Well, and that's my main point, is being at the first one live was amazing, and it was a great atmosphere and was really cool. But when I watched it the second time through, being at home, I didn't pay attention to it as much because I knew it was happening and stuff like that. I was just kind of watching it to see how the production was. Second one, I didn't know it was going to happen, obviously. So I'm really invested. I'm watching every last bit. And that's also what I wanted to say is, with you, for me, that was my introduction to you and Dave, is watching you guys like that and listening to you guys. And the stories that you guys told, like you said, the lyrics to the songs, helped immensely of maybe people who I did not know. Some of the women I did not know. Liamo I've never seen before, which a lot of people haven't seen before because he's from overseas. Like, some of the stuff that you guys would do, I just wanted to give a tip of the cap to you, because you guys absolutely put my interest into things that I didn't know about any match. You can name it. And then, like, the passion that came through, like you said, Dave was very passionate. When everything was going on in that Now match, you could feel the passion. You could feel how pissed off he was and how disgusted he was that this was happening. And then you come back.
That's jealousy, but yeah.
And him being mad at you and asking you, how could you do that? And just everything that leads in from a commentary team is very important. I think underrated commentary becomes in wrestling, period. Because if you have ones that are mid or just there and they're not affiliated and they just kind of do the job, it is what it is. When you have people like yourselves that are doing it the way you're doing it, it adds that much more to an event, and being able to be more invested and feel it. That's like why we love like a Jim Ross, like a Michael Cole, people, and like you said, Morrow, people like that are adding to, what's going on in the ring is great. But if you can have that soundtrack as well, it doubles your interest and every feeling that you may go through in a wrestling event. And you guys, again, another part of ACW, delivered to make that event and every event so far amazing.
Well, thank you. I really
awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, I really do. No, I genuinely appreciate that. I know Dave. I can speak for Dave when I say that. We both really appreciate that. We take it very seriously, and sometimes it might just seem like we're, that chemistry sometimes might seem like we're, goofing around or whatever. We take this so seriously, because we are, having been in the ring ourselves, having had careers in the ring. Both of our careers ended from various injuries, and knowing what these people are putting their bodies through, understanding every single bump, every single time they take a turnbuckle, every time they hit the ropes, understanding what that actually feels like, we understand the responsibility that we have to not be what shits up that match. It is our job to enhance that match. And especially when you have talent like ACW has, I mean, it's how do you enhance? Sometimes you look and you go, how are we going to enhance this match that I don't know if it could get any better? And that, that's something you talked a while ago about, what drives me and Sent to Slaughter and everything. That's what drives me and Dave when we're on commentary. That's what gets us going. We see that action going on in the ring, and we can feel the passion from them. And now you're feeling it back from us. And again, it's one of those things, I take very seriously as a manager and as a commentator. In the 80s, these were respected positions. Think about how many managers between WCW or NWA and WWF, and how many managers, classic characters and personalities there were. And the same with your commentators, whether it was Bobby and Gorilla, or it was Vince and Jesse, or it was Gorilla and Jesse, or it was, as time went on, you talk about King and JR, Taz and Cole, right? But I feel like over time, and that's not to say there aren't great teams out there, but I feel like people, especially in independent wrestling, especially in the companies that are not AEW or WWE, I feel like there's been a whole lot of people going, oh, you've watched wrestling before? Why don't you do commentary? Oh, you ordered a fancy jacket on Amazon? You can be a manager. And to me, it's insulting to the art that we strive to excel at, right? So for you to say the things that you said, that that we even enhanced or even just equaled the rest of the presentation, that means more than because that's where a lot of those chips on our shoulders come from, of just going like, give us a shot. Dave and I have said so many times, give us a shot. We could. I'm a firm believer, and I've taken this approach now, and people just, think I'm just this cocky asshole when I do it. But I look at it, whether it's Sent to Slaughter, whether it's me as a manager, whether it's me and Dave as a commentating duo, I look at it and I just go, give me an opportunity and prove me wrong. Let me fail. But don't tell me that I'm not good enough to do commentary on Monday Night Raw. Don't tell me that I'm not good enough and Sent to Slaughter isn't good enough to be the tag team champions in AEW and or Ring of Honor or something like that. Don't tell me we're not good enough when you haven't given us the opportunity to prove that we're good enough. And that's kind of, so we look at ACW as people who have, as a company that has given us that opportunity to show how good we are on commentary at helping to present how good everybody else is on that roster. So we take that very seriously. So thank you.
You're welcome. So we know you have to get going, so we will stop it right here. Definitely have to have you back on and talk some more, give a little bit more time.
Well, we got another show coming up, so we got a post show.
Yeah.
Probably another show coming up after that.
Yeah, so July.
Maybe a title defense. We don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see what
game.
Everything unfolds. Maybe next time we'll have the boys with you and get Sent to Slaughter on here and do that. We would love to have those guys on here. We'd love to have the tag team champions on.
Everybody probably would.
Yes, of course. Why wouldn't they? But
absolutely.
July 18th is going to be one hell of a card. For anyone who might still be holding out, I don't know why you are, but this is acw.com. Get your tickets. If you want to save some money, you can call the box office and save some money on those Ticketmaster fees at the MJN Center.
And not to cut you off there, but I do want to say, because I've looked, obviously I love to know what kind of house we're going to be playing to, right? So I looked, and the available tickets is very reminiscent of what it was like a day or two before the last show.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember a day or two before the last show going, oh, okay, there's still some availability. Man, by that afternoon, done. So the walk up is real. People will wait, and I understand that. But I would say if you're somebody who maybe you have to make a little bit of a drive, it's not just next door. If you're something that this is really, you really want to make it, get your tickets now, because they are, I'm pretty sure at this point, just looking at the chart, this is way under what was available at this time before the last show. So, get your tickets now for sure.
Yeah. So this is acw.com. Check out everything there. All the match announcements are there. Their merch is there. And look for this amazing card. If you can't make it, Triller TV will be covering. I think they drop the week after. So you can check it out there if not. But Josh, thank you so much for taking the time. We really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll be talking to you very soon. And good luck on the 18th. Unfortunately, we won't be able to make it, but we will be waiting for that to drop to watch it. We can't wait, and we hope everyone at ACW has an amazing show, and we don't doubt that they will. So that is too.
Thank you guys very much. I really appreciate it, and come back anytime.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching, listening. We hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be talking to you very soon. Don't take any shit from anybody. See you guys.